The Scream team starts filming in Montreal on June 6th. Let's get into this.
What's your favorite scary movie? Name it.
We'll tear your soul apart.
Well, I'm Pennywise the dancing now.
Oh, blood on the beast!
God, don't do that.
But sometimes dead is better.
Hey everybody, what's up? KillJoy Jake here, and instead of having friends, I have horror movies. Today we have a big update on Scream 6 talking about the filming dates this summer, and before we get into that, I'm going to need y'all to like this video and subscribe for more horror content, more updates on Scream 6, Halloween Ends, Jordan Peele's Nopes, just Nope, it's not Nopes, that's the sequel to Jordan Peele's Nope, but many other horror films I will be covering on this page, so make sure to subscribe. We have a lot of fun on this page, like pretty much every day. So getting into this, I first and foremost want to thank Top Girl Cassidy on Twitter. Kay, she posted a picture of this. That's kind of how we all got this update. Massive thanks to her. She has a Production Weekly account and gave us this update firsthand. So thank you to Top Girl Cassidy on Twitter. Make sure to follow her. So getting into this little update, Scream 6 will be filming in Montreal from June 6th to August 10th. This is about the same amount of time that the last film was made, like about a 2-month span. I think the last movie was actually like 2.5 to 3 months that they were filming, but this is about the right amount of time to make a sequel, I would say. I know I have expressed some concern about this film kind of like going into production very quickly, but it did seem like Radio Silence were prepared a little more for this film than I originally thought. There are a lot of things that they told us that weren't necessarily true about the last film too. Now that I'm looking back at some of the other quotes that they've had, like for example, they told us that there was like multiple endings that they wrote and gave to the cast and crew, even though Jack Quaid came out about like a month ago now and said like, oh yeah, I knew from the get-go that I was going to be the killer. It was awesome, and I had to keep quiet this whole time. I feel like that was a load of crap, honestly, but it was a load of crap that got us really excited for Scream 5, wasn't it? So I'm not like mad or anything like that, but I feel like they haven't been necessarily 100% honest with us about everything. That's fine though. I would rather them lie about not being prepared than just actually not being prepared. So a reason I expressed concern about like maybe they weren't prepared for the sequel, maybe they're rushing into it. It comes out in less than a year. I mean, that's kind of scary if maybe they're unprepared. Was they had said something earlier on, like when Scream 6, right before the last film came out. I think it was the writers who said that this was like our one chance at a Scream film, so we wanted to pack it full of ideas, and it just kind of seems like they didn't really have plans for a sequel. The other thing that made me the other thing that led me to believe that was that the ending of Scream 5 kind of wraps up the story real nice and neat. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if a Scream 6 never got announced because of how nice and neat that ending wrapped up. But now with the Scream 6 happening, it got me concerned at first. When I first heard that announcement that like, oh yeah, it's happening, I was excited. When I heard the release date, which was March 31st of next year, I'm like, oh my God, are these guys prepared? Like, please don't do the exact same thing that happened with the Scream 2 in 1997, because there's a lot of ideas in that film I feel like are super underdeveloped that if they maybe would have just spent a little teeny tiny more time developing that movie, and they didn't have like the script leak and all that, you could have had a movie that was a phenomenal sequel that was easily better than the original. I think there's a lot of ideas in that second film that if you just develop them a little tiny bit more, it's a better film than the original movie. Dare I say, crazy, but that movie just kind of ever so slightly misses for me towards the end. I've talked about this before. I know people disagree. Some people love Scream 2 more than one, and that's awesome. I love seeing people passionate about any film, even if it's something I don't necessarily like. But I just feel like there was a bunch of wasted potential in Mickey's character, and it focused way too much on Mrs. Loomis, in my opinion. But with Scream 6, I don't think we're gonna have that problem of having too much cheese in our killers, because realistically, Radio Silence's heavy focus on this franchise is making it darker. And one of my favorite parts about the Scream movies is that we have this, like the first 2 acts are always hanging out with these characters and you slowly see them all get murdered, but in the spaces in between, you get these little character interactions that are fun, that are hilarious, that are, yes, a little bit campy and cheesy, but we love that about the Scream films. The best part, though, is you get all that in the first 2 acts. You get this meta commentary about the horror genre, but then in the 3rd act, it almost always gets super dark with the killer reveals. Like, some of the scariest parts of the entire Scream movies are in those 3rd acts, and I love it. The only movie that deviates from that is Scream 2. It's the only movie where it gets cheesier as the movie goes along, and that's why the 3rd act kind of loses me. But every other Scream film does that really, really well, and I don't expect anything less from Scream 6, especially because we're dealing with with the Radio Silence guys who have that focus on this franchise, who want to make it darker, who want to have I don't necessarily know if this is true, but want to have a great meta commentary on the horror genre. Considering how the last film was, like having a commentary on just like movies in general, I don't know if this movie's going to focus on just horror commentary. I kind of hope it does, but I'm not necessarily going to be against any more types of commentary just in fandom in general, because I really did like a lot of the things that Scream 5 commented on, and I thought it was really intelligent the way they went about it. That was really cool. So hopefully this film can do something different in that same line though that Scream 5 kind of did, because I don't want it to necessarily be the same film again where it's like killers who are just trying to give Hollywood ideas. That would be kind of repetitive, right? I don't want them to have the motivation ultimately boil down to the same thing. That's a problem I find in some of the other Scream movies, is that by the time you get to like the fourth movie, it's like, wow, all these motives kind of just boil down to, I just want to kill Sidney Prescott for yada, 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 some kind of blank reason. So I really hope that's not the case in this next one. I hope whoever the killer or killers is or are, depending on how many killers or killer there is, I hope that it doesn't ultimately boil down to, we want to give Hollywood a new idea for a stab film that's better than whatever the hell the last one was. I hope that's not the case. I hope that our killers have a new motivation this time around. It's probably going to be 2 killers, right? 2 or 3, maybe. I don't think they're going to go down to 1, but I could be wrong. That would be cool. And I'm saying this right now. It's the last thing I'm going to say in this video. But if Samara Weaving gets cast in this and she's not the killer, I would be shocked. I really want Samara Weaving in this film, and my God, could you see the third act villain speech from her? I have goosebumps just thinking about that. Thinking about how awesome it would be to see her play a villain. I mean, listen, we kind of saw her play a villain in the Babysitter movies, and those were fun. Those are also very similar to the Scream films, I think, in line of tone. But to see her play like a real dark villain that isn't super like silly or cheesy, like more along the lines of like how Richie kind of turns from like this goofy boyfriend character into like psycho killer towards the end, I would love to see that. I think Samara Weaving would just pull that off very, very well. I wouldn't even be mad if I knew going into the film she was going to be the killer. I would not be mad if I go into Scream 6 and I'm like, oh yeah, Samara Weaving's totally the killer, but I'm here for it. Like, I would absolutely love that. Would not be against that whatsoever. Samara, if you're free, be in Scream 6. Go to Montreal this summer. Why not? It's only 2 months of shooting. Come on. That would be sweet. I don't know. I just think that'd be awesome. But how do we feel about Scream 6? Are we excited for this movie? Because I know I am. I am so pumped for this. I genuinely think this movie's going to be better than Scream 5. I'm saying it now. Hopefully I'm right. We'll find out March 31st of next year, though. What do you guys think, though? Leave me something about it in the comments below. Are you excited about this? Leave me your excitement down there. Thank you all so much for watching this new Scream 6 update. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more horror content. Don't forget to support me on Patreon as well. The link for that will be in the description below. You get to see an extra video every single week over there. And you get early access to a lot of my specialty videos. And if you support me at one of my higher tiers, you'll be able to get first-hand knowledge of Red Right Hand that the public won't. So if you want to know a little more about my Scream fan film that I'm currently working on, go support me over on Patreon. Or wait for my channel memberships when those finally come out. I'm still working on them. It'll be done before the end of the month, I promise. It's basically going to be the same thing as Patreon, so it's just a little more accessible because it's here on YouTube. So anyways, thank you so much for watching this video, and as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.